very good day to you. My name is Pip and I thank you for watching my new video. On this channel I make videos about my life, my music, and since today, crochet! In this video I'm gonna be teaching you how to make this adorable sad hamster. If you are chronically online like I am, you have seen this hamster or this hamster before. This week I got an order to make 20 sad hamster plushies. I couldn't really find a pattern in my style, so I made my own pattern and I'm gonna teach you how to crochet this sad hamster right now. Let's get into it. The things you will need for your hamster are any size 6 chenille yarn in a gray or beige color, and if you'd like to give your hamster a little bow, also a pink yarn. A 4mm crochet hook, scissors, a yarn needle, 14mm safety eyes, some white yarn for the eye details, and last but not least, some polyfill stuffing. Let's start off by making a magic ring if that's your preferred method. I prefer to chain 2, so that's what I'm doing here. Into the second chain from your hook, we are putting 6 single crochet stitches. These 6 single crochet stitches will become your first row. I am putting a stitch marker into the first stitch so that I will always remember where I started my round. I highly recommend you do that too. We are on to row number 2. We are increasing for this entire round. That means that we are putting 2 single crochets into 1 stitch from the last round. So we just made our first 2 and I put my stitch marker back into the first stitch, and we are continuing the round, putting 2 single crochets into every single stitch, which makes 12 because 6 times 2 is 12. Round number 3. For this round, we are putting a single crochet and then an increase. So I just made the first single crochet and I'm putting in my stitch marker, and then the next stitch is going to be an increase. So I'm going to be putting 2 single crochets into this 1 stitch. And then we're doing 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next. And we continue this for the rest of the round. Round number 4, or row number 4. I've been calling them rounds, but I think it's rows. I don't really care. Number 4. We are doing 5 single crochets and 1 increase. So I just made the first one. Let's count, shall we? 2 and 3, 4, 5. And this is where we increase. So in this next stitch, we are going to be putting 2 single crochets. And we're going to repeat this 3 times until we have 21 stitches. Row number 5 is very easy. We are just going to single crochet around the entire round. So just 21 single crochets and you're fine. You're doing great, by the way. Row Row number 6, this is where it gets interesting. We are single crocheting 2, and then we are going to put some double crochets in the front loop of the next stitch. So not the back loop, but the front loop, that one right there. You have to yarn over, insert your hook into the front loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. That is 1 double crochet, and we're doing this 3 times, and all 3 times are going to be in that same front loop. So that is the second one I'm making right there, and we're going on to the third one. And right now I recommend you put a stitch marker into the back loop for future reference, because in the next round we are going to skip those 3 double crochets and we are going to crochet into the back loop. But for now, just continue with 4 single crochets. That was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to repeat the step we just did in the one in the front loop with the 3 double crochets. And I am not doing it here, but I recommend you also put a stitch marker in that back loop of that 1 stitch for the next round, so that you know where to put your stitch in the next round. Now you're going to do 5 single crochets, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to be making a bobble stitch. You yarn over, you insert your hook, you yarn over and pull through, and then you yarn over and pull through 2. And you leave those on the hook. You yarn over, insert your hook, you yarn over, pull it through, and then you yarn over and pull through 2 again, and then you should have 3 loops on your hook. You repeat this step until you have 5 loops on your hook. So sometimes it can be a bit tricky, but it's kind of like a double crochet, but you don't finish it and you do it a couple of times. Right now I should have 5 loops on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. 5 loops. Then you yarn over and you pull through all of those 5 loops. Then we are doing 3 single crochets, another bobble stitch, and we end this round with also 3 single crochets. Row number 7, we are making 2 single crochets, and then we are going to be single crocheting into the back loop of the ear we just made. We put in a stitch marker so it's easy to find. It's right there, and then we make a single crochet into that back loop, and make sure you skip those 3 double crochets that you made for the ear and you go into the 4th stitch that you count, so that the ear kind of comes forward, to say it like that. And then you single crochet 4, and then you're gonna do the other single crochet into the back loop that I didn't mark, but you probably did, or hopefully, so you can find it easily. I got it, yeah, I got it. We're making 1 single crochet, and then we're making sure again to skip those 3 double crochets from the ear and going into the 4th stitch that we see, and do 13 single crochets from here on. It is time for the eyes. It's time to put our safety eyes into this. We are going to put them in between round 2 and 3, and I make sure they are in between the ears. Kind of like 3 stitches apart from each other. I always eyeball this a bit. You put the backings on so that they stay nice and snug, safe. I don't know. Whatever. Look how cute. Okay, round number 8 until round number 10. We are going to be single crocheting around for 3 rounds. I don't know why I'm holding up 2 fingers. 3 rounds, Pip, 3 rounds. Alright, I'm finishing those 3 rounds off camera because it gets kind of boring. And we're going on to the next row, row number 11. We are going to be putting 14 single crochets and then a bobble stitch. The bobble stitch this time is going to be a small one, so we got to make sure we have 4 loops on the hook instead of 5. I don't know why I did this for this pattern, but I think the back paws should be a little bit smaller, so that's why I chose to do a small bobble stitch for this one. Once you have finished your 14 single crochets, it's time to do the bobble stitch. Remember, 4 loops on your hook instead of 5. You got this. There we go, we just finished our small bobble stitch. And then it's time for 3 single crochets and another bobble stitch. We cannot get enough. Well, for this round, it's enough. We do 2 more single crochets to finish off this round. And as you can see, we have 4 little adorable paws. Time for row number 12. We are doing 5 single crochets and then a decrease. So we just made our first single crochet, putting in that trusty stitch marker, number 2, number 3, number 4, and stitch number 5. And now it's time to decrease, and we are going to do that in the front loop so that it's invisible. So we are putting our hook through, pulling up a loop, and then putting our hook through the front loop of the next. And then you have 3 loops, and you yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Do that 3 times and your row is done. It is time to stuff your hamster. I like always making the first stitch of the next round in advance so that I can put my stitch marker in the right place. I just pull up the yarn a bit so my stitches don't unravel, and then I stuff. And then it is time for row number 13. We are going to single crochet and then decrease for the entire round. We're doing a single crochet and then a decrease. And you do that 6 times. I like to continue stuffing in between rounds so that it makes it easier to completely stuff your hamster. Row number 13. We are going to make 2 decreases and then we're going to do a bobble stitch. That is going to be the tail, the little pom-pom tail of the hamster. And yes, so I'm making my second decrease right here. And then it's time for the bobble stitch. We're making a big one, so make sure you repeat those steps until you have 5 loops on your hook. After that, we are doing 4 decreases. I know I can kind of do math. It means we have 1 stitch too little. So the last decrease is the last stitch of this round and the first stitch of this round. So we're putting those two together so that you end up with 6 stitches. I then make a slip stitch into the next single crochet like this. Then I cut off my yarn and I leave a little bit of a tail for sewing. Now we have to finish stuffing him so that he's nice and firm, and then we're sewing his booty closed. I am using the tail that we just left to sew into the next couple of stitches of that round and pulling it closed. So we're just bringing that yarn in a little round, and then I'm just putting some random stitches in with the needle to make sure it's nice and secure. Then I cut off the excess yarn and I hide it inside of the body. Then I take my yarn needle and I pull up the stitches where the ears are and where the paws are, just to give them a little bit of more definition, to make them pop out a bit more. Look at that cute face. It is time to give our hamster a little bit more of a sad look. If you want this pattern to be no-sew, then this is where you click off. But if you like these little details, keep watching. We are putting the white yarn on the needle and I'm inserting it on the bottom of the body, and I make sure my needle gets out on the right side of the eye, and then I put my needle back into the head on the left side of the eye. And then when you're pulling it through, make sure that you keep the yarn down a bit so that it places nice and evenly under the eye. And then we are moving on to the left eye. I make sure to pull up my needle on the left side of the eye, and then I put it back in on the right side of the eye, just like we did with the other eye. And then also make sure to keep the yarn in place so that it places nice and evenly under the eye. I make sure to get the needle out of the same stitch that I inserted it so that I can easily secure the yarn. No, he looks so sad. Great, that's what we were going for. We are making a knot and another knot so that it's nice and secure. I snip off the excess yarn and I hide it into the body as well. Bring out that pink yarn because we are making the bow. For the bow, I'm using a 3mm hook to make it a bit smaller. Make sure before you make your slip knot that you have a good tail because we need it later on. For the bow, we are going to be chaining 5. Then we are going to be turning our work. We're skipping the first chain from the hook, and then we are making 4 single crochets into those chains. Cut off your yarn and make sure you leave a good tail for the sewing. Put one of the tail ends on your yarn needle and sew the tail into the middle of the bow. Do this for both tails and then sew the bow to your hamster right above the right eye. Make sure you exert both tails in the same stitch so that you can easily knot them together twice and then hide it into the body. Very nice and secure. Look at that face. I love her so much. It's amazing. Here you go. You made your very own sad hamster. I'm so proud of you. I cannot wait to see a million of these cuties made by you guys. So if you decide to post it online, please tag me because I would love to see them. Thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you in my next one.